All right, in the last video we learned how to make a yarn ball. In this video we're going to learn how to do the first stitch and the most basic one. There are two different stitches you'll need to learn in order to make whatever it is you decide to make. The chain stitch and the single crochet. So first of all, we're going to learn the chain stitch. Before you do anything, you're going to need yarn and you're going to need a hook. That's all you need. The first thing you want to do is make a slip knot. And let's see if I can see this a little better. To make a slip knot, if you look at the yarn I have here, one side, the side that has the end, we call that the yarn tail. This side that's connected to the ball, we call it our working yarn. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put your tail over top of your working yarn, and it makes kind of a little X there. You're going to grab that X, and you're going to take your working yarn and put it through the loop you made. A little easier said than done. Okay, and then pull that through, and you have a slip knot. Let's try that again. Now, a slip knot is cool because you can make it bigger or smaller. If you pull on the tail part, it makes it smaller. It makes it smaller. Actually, I was pulling on the working yarn. If you pull on the working yarn, it makes it smaller until it goes away. If you pull on the tail, it makes it bigger. So let's go ahead and make a slip knot again. So we've got our yarn. Tail's over here. Working yarn's over here. We are going to put our tail over top of our working yarn to make a loop with an X. You're going to pick that up, kind of hold it on the X, pull the working yarn through the loop we made. Oops, I did that wrong. Okay, so tail over here, working yarn over here, put your tail over top of the working yarn, make an X and a loop. You're going to grab that X, and you're going to take your tail, pull it over and through the loop. There you go. One more time. You got your tail, you got your working yarn. You're going to put your tail over your working yarn, so you have an X and a loop. You're going to pick it up so that you're kind of holding on to that X. Take your working yarn, put it over top through the loop, and then pull that through. Now you have a slip knot. You're going to take your hook and hold it like you hold a fork or a knife or something like that when you're eating. And if you can see, the hook has the hook part right there. You're going to want to put your loop that you made, your slip knot, over on top of it so that you've got the yarn on the hook. And now you want to pull it tight so that the loop is pretty close to the hook. So in order to pull it tight, you're pulling on the working yarn. If you want to make it a little looser, you pull on the tail. That makes it looser. So again, I'm putting the yarn on my hook, pulling the working yarn until it's kind of tight, but not too tight. You want it to where it can move pretty easily. So you have your first loop here. In order to make a chain stitch, what you want to do is put your yarn on your non-dominant hand. So for you, it's going to be your left hand. You're going to put it over your pinky, under these two fingers, and over your pointer finger. So it's going to look like this. That's how you hold it. And then you grab on to the bottom of the hook so that you have it nice and tight. You want this part, the yarn, to feel tight, but not real tight. So you want to be able to work with it. So how to make a chain stitch. You put your hook toward the ceiling and then you yarn over. And what that means is you take your working yarn and with your finger you maneuver it so that it's over top of the hook. That's called a yarn over. So yarn over. Then you're going to turn your hook so it's facing you. And now you're going to pull it through the loop. And there's one chain stitch. Let's do that again. So you've got your hook. It's facing toward the ceiling. Yarn over. Pull the hook toward you. And pull it through the loop. Hook toward ceiling. Yarn over. Hook toward you. Pull it through the loop. Hook toward ceiling. Yarn over. Hook toward you, pull through the loop. Hook to ceiling, yarn over, hook toward you, pull it through. Hook to ceiling, yarn over, hook to you, pull it through. Now notice I made these loops not really, really tight. You want to make them a little looser so that they're easier to work into later. And how you count how many you have is you look for these V's. Each V is a stitch. So if you look at what I have here, I have one, two, three, four, 5, 6 stitches. 6 stitches there. 6 chain stitches. Now, you want to be careful because with the way this works, it's easy for your project to unravel. If you don't have a hook in there and you pull on the working yarn, it just comes apart. So I'm going to make a slip knot again. This time I'm going to do it by putting it kind of around my finger, twisting it over so I make that little loop with the tail being over top of my working yarn. And then I'm going to put my working yarn through. There's my slip knot. I'm going to make some more chains and show you how to make it so that if you have to put your work aside, it won't be as easy to unravel. So again, hook to ceiling, yarn over, hook toward you, pull through. Hook to ceiling, yarn over, hook toward you, pull through. Hook to ceiling, yarn over, hook toward you, pull through. Hook to ceiling, yarn over, hook toward you, pull through. And as you can see, as you get used to doing it, you can do it really fast, and you don't even have to think about it. Normally, you'd want to count how many chains you're making because your pattern will tell you how many chains you need, how many starting chains you need for your base chain. Okay, so when I'm done and I'm going to put my work aside, what I want to do is just make this loop really big. That way it's not going to accidentally come apart as easily. And I can put it in my yarn bowl or whatever it is that I'm keeping my yarn in. I would suggest before moving on to any other videos that you just keep practicing making chains until it feels really, really, really comfortable and you don't really even have to think about it anymore. So it could take a while. It could take a lot of practice before you feel really good about that. But once you feel really good about making chains, you can take them out or you can leave it, whichever, and come back for the next video.